Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this video we will discuss another model of second language acquisition, that is socio educational model. So there are three models that we study in applied linguistics. One is socio psychological model, then we have a acculturation model, and the third one is socio educational model. Sequence can be changed. You can say socio-educational model. You can place it on number one, number two, number three, whatever you like. This one is the third and the last one. Socio-educational model. It was presented in 1975 by Gardner, uh, who in this model it is believed that the aptitude or the competency, aptitude as we discussed in our previous models, that it means that your natural ability or the competence or your intelligence to acquire more than one languages. like uh, there are many people, you can find out those who love to learn many languages or those who love to speak many languages. So uh, this model actually focuses on your natural ability, your own competence, the competence of the learner, that how much competent the learner is to acquire more than one languages. Because we talk about second language acquisition, and in this Gardner says that it is important to the cultural contexts are very important. Not in the sense as we discussed in acculturation model, but definitely when we talk about language acquisition or learning a second language, then culture has its influence. It has much more influence in human life, and also the culture develops our attitude and motivation. Like in learning any other culture of another language, because whenever we learn a language, another language, we learn its culture too. For instance, we learn English language. When we learn English language, we study literature of English language, we come across various aspects of life, various social and political aspects of English society. And if a Japanese try to learn Urdu language, definitely the Japanese, they have their own culture. We have the Urdu speakers, we have our own culture. But when a Japanese, for example, wants to learn Urdu language, he will not only learn a language, definitely he will come across different political, social, cultural aspects, that how when the people they speak, because there are many words in language that are specific to your own language, that they are specific in one language, uh, the culture of the language. Like we have our Punjabi culture or Saraiki culture or Pashto culture. So culturally we have specific terms that cannot be translated exactly into another language. So whenever we learn a second language, we learn its culture too. uh, there are two most important factors discussed in this model, that is aptitude means your natural ability and your competence to learn a language, and definitely your motivation, because motivation level, as we discussed in other models of language acquisition, it is always have much more importance. Without motivation, nothing can be achieved. Not only the second language acquisition, anything you want to achieve in your life, there you must be highly motivated. If you are motivated to do something, you can achieve your targets. If you are not motivated, definitely you will not be able to do it, regardless how much competence you have. uh, the question is actually, this model answers the question that there are many learners who are not competent enough, those who are not very much competent, those who are not very much intelligent, or they are below average. There is an average student in a class, and there is a below average means a very poor student, very not very intelligent student. So how do they learn a language? So I mean, if a person, if a student, if a learner, he is not very much intelligent, but still he manages to learn a language, it means that he or she will be highly motivated, must be highly motivated. So motivational level is the most important factor that actually uh, covers your the flaws in your natural ability. Like if you are not intelligent, if you are not competent, but you are motivated, then your motivational level will definitely enable you to learn the second language. So this the answer is, when the below average student also the learner learns the second language, it means that he must be highly motivated. When you are motivated, then your competence, uh, if even if you are not competent, the motivation level covers every flaw of your natural ability. So there are two sides, one is the formal side and one is the informal side in this model. Formal side means the educational context. So educational context mean that when for example you learn English language, you go to a class, your teacher is teaching you a grammar of English language, means what would be the subject, the verb, the object, the agreement between the subject and the rest of the sentence, then where to place the subject and where to place the object. So there is always correction, there is always accuracy in educational context. Like as we study in mathematics, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, in the same way we talk about accuracy, we talk about correction, uh, uh, we talk about the standardized language when we talk about formal side. And when we say that informal side, it means that the cultural context means that we learn something but we do not focus on the rules, specific rules, and uh, I mean uh, the laws and the rules of the language, because the rules, they are learned when we are in learning something in educational context, in a classroom, in formal site, when a teacher is there and he is teaching you, the teacher is teaching you everything about language, and you have to follow the guidelines as given by your teacher. But as far as the cultural context is concerned, it is an informal context, that here the learner is free to learn anything. There is nothing like accuracy doesn't matter in informal site. The learner learns a language in informal site also, but also learns accurately, but not as much accurately as we learn in formal site, like in educational context. In this formal, an informal site, the knowledge of the learners is much more higher and they become more confident, because once you start learning something, not about only language, second language, but in any other field of life, your confidence level only comes in your personality when you get more and more knowledge, when you have strong grip on a subject. For example, a teacher enters in your class, he has to teach you a specific topic of literature, let's say for example Shakespeare, he has to teach you a drama of Shakespeare. If he has strong command on the writing style of Shakespeare and the topic which the teacher has to teach you in the class, if he has strong grip, he strong grip means strong grip over subject means he is more knowledgeable. When you are knowledgeable, it gives you more confident. And you can make a comparison between two teachers in your class, one who comes into your class and he is having a lot of knowledge about that topic and he has done his homework, then definitely he will be much more confident. He will be standing, the teacher will have lot of confidence to answer all the questions raised by the students. And as compared to an other teacher who enters into your class, whose knowledge is bit faulty, who is having a little knowledge, not having a strong command on the subject, definitely his confidence level will be much lower or much down. There is always motivation. When you are knowledgeable, when you are confident, it motivates you to learn a second language. Definitely it has connection, motivation with language and knowledge and confident. confidence, sorry. Linguistics linguistics outcomes while learning a second language is that how much efficient you are in learning a language, and how much fluent you are. Fluent means that how fluently you are speaking, that how much time you take to speak a sentence of the second language. That is the linguistic outcome, purely command on languages. Then we have non-linguistic outcomes, and non-linguistic outcome means change in your attitude towards the which culture we talk about? Culture of the second language. So when we talk about non-linguistic outcomes, we talk about culture, and when we talk about linguistic outcomes, we talk about the proficiency and the fluency, or how fluently we can speak a language, or how fluently we can learn a language also. Then we have there is direct performance and indirect performance to learn a second language. Direct means explicit instructions. Instructions means uh, the formal side, as we discussed earlier, correctness, accuracy. And interact means cultural immersion. Immersion means involvement, cultural involvement, that you start learning the culture, and while learning the culture, you start learning another language. Uh, then we have when the learners acquire experience and knowledge of second language, there is always positive outcome, and there is always fluency and appreciation of the other culture. Like when you have acquired experience and knowledge, you get confidence, and when you get confidence, you are more acceptable for the other culture. And once you do not have knowledge about other culture, then definitely you don't have knowledge about second language, definitely you will not accept, you will not be accepting the culture of that language or culture of that society uh, more conveniently, as compared to a learner who has acquired experience and knowledge. So if we talk about that, there is an educational context, and there is a cultural context. One is formal and one is informal. Then we have linguistic outcomes and non-linguistic outcomes. Direct and indirect. Direct means explicit instructions, and indirect means culture immersion.